Okay, what is up, guys? Friday Night Spikes. We are officially live here on this Friday night. LSU, Texas A&M right now, bottom of the eighth inning. There is one out. Derek Curiel is up with an 0-2 count. We are reacting to the day that was in Hoover, Alabama, of course, as well as live reacting to this game on right now. Guys, as always, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered, home from Hoover, Alabama. We got back about 2 hours or so ago. As you can tell, I'm in my new living room. The place is a disaster. It looks like a bomb was set off in here. That's what I'm doing this weekend, putting everything back together, trying to get this place even remotely in order, especially the studio, getting everything straightened out. Is what it is. Again, we just moved, in case you guys did not know. But the bottom line is this. We are here. We are rocking. We are rolling. Jake Mckeever is going to join me here shortly. Our guy Harrison Fant is actually in stadium right now, hanging out with the Aggies and the Tigers, watching that game firsthand. So, SEC Unfiltered all over the place. We have got our flag planted everywhere. Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. That's how we do things around here, man. Why not? Why not? Anyways, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, where we get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And as always, we're powered by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today. Get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $250 in bonus bets today. Like I mentioned, this is Friday Night Spikes, the first edition of postseason Friday Night Spikes. Obviously, last weekend, the final Friday night of the regular season. This is SEC Tournament Friday Night Spikes. My good friend Jake Mckeever, like I mentioned, will join me shortly as Texas A&M strikes out the final batter in the bottom of the eighth. The LSU offense has gone ice cold, and give Texas A&M's pitching staff credit, obviously, for that. But the score is sitting right now 4-3. We are going to the top of the ninth inning. Aggies are down to their final three outs, down by 1 run, and don't look now, but Jace Lavalette for Texas A&M is getting an AB. It's got these Kurt Gibson vibes to it, guys, where obviously his hand's all messed up. And I tell you this, we'll say this again. We will echo this when Jake gets on, obviously. But, man, tip of the freaking cap. Bravo. Bravo to Jace Lavalette. Bravo. To push through what he's dealing with his hand. I thought there was absolutely no way he was going to play in this baseball game. Absolutely no way. And for him to be able to not only play but contribute, obviously 2 of the runs of the 3 Aggie runs have been product of his at-bats. I mean, it's stuff of legends. I mean, you have to tip your cap no matter who you are a fan of. We'll see what he can do here. 3 outs to go for LSU. Guys, also, again, we are back in Nashville, if you did not know. Had a great week in Hoover. Want to say thanks to everyone that we hung out with and know. My guy, Drink Local Beham, we are not live from Hoover. I am back in Nashville, Tennessee. You are live from Hoover. You're live from Hoover. Our guy, Charles, is live from Hoover on the third base side. Let's go, baby. Hey, show everybody in the chat right there. Throw that L right there. I throw that because all the great LSU folks we hung out with today, all the great Tigers. It was awesome. Again, whatever happens, the game happens. My guy Gig'em Bart's going to is going to hold that screenshot against me forever. Gig'em Bart's in the chat. What's up, Gig'em Bart? Says about to have a heart attack here. He says Olsen magic time as well. And guys, it's time for Friday Night Spikes. This show is for you. This show is for you. I want to take your questions, your comments. You all know the drill at this point. Really special edition of Friday Night Spikes. We've obviously been going live, recapping, reacting to all of the baseball throughout the week. This felt like a perfect marriage of that. Obviously, of course, we will talk what happened in the Ole Miss Arkansas game. Saw a comment earlier in the show. Blake Jolly said, hottie, damn, toddy. Braden said, how about them Rebels? Don't let them Rebels get hot. Go Tigers is what's up. Chris, Daily Joy, I'm going to be sick That seems on brand. And our guy, Drink Local Beham, is in Hoover. Jace Lavalette up right now. I'm sure you guys are watching the game. 1-1 count, now a 2-1 count. Anthony Ianson in this ball game for LSU. A very interesting move by Jay Johnson here. And we talked to Mikey Montook earlier today. He thought this was going to be the game plan. So I am not surprised to see Anthony Ianson here. I thought it was interesting that you saw Chase Shores warming up. He does not come in. I mean, I think Jay Johnson just doing everything in his power to win this game today. Everything in his power to get this dub. And LSU, like I mentioned, they are 3 outs away from doing so. Jace Lavalette now with a full count, 3-2. But again, guys, one more time, want to say thank you to Dat Bingle Bus, all the great LSU fans that hosted us today, and all the great SEC fans that hosted us throughout the week. And I was telling some other folks that, you know, we had a lot of fun from the standpoint of the games and the coaches, and you know, there were some cool things that happened with that, and appreciate all them, love all them. But an event like that, it's really about the fans. That's what makes, I think, what we do special. When we go on the road, it's about hanging out with and interacting with the fans, the people that make what we do possible. That to me, that's really what I'm there for. It's the most fun part. I know the athletes, coaches, they feel the same way. Without the fans, we just, be playing for the love of the game, which is fine, but the fans make it really special. Anthony Ianson strikes out Jace Lavalette. Drink Local Beham. My guy, John, do not spoil it for me. That's all I'm asking from you. I know you're there. I know it's happening before I see it. Please, for the love of God, don't spoil what happens. I would like to see it play out on my screen. Maybe I'll just minimize the comments here. I got to take your comments off screen for a moment. I think I got to take your comments off screen because y'all are going to spoil it. I think y'all are going to spoil it. Y'all are going to – don't spoil it now. I want to see it play out. I'm a little behind you with the YouTube stream. But again, maybe I should save the semantics and the sappy feel-good stuff for after this game ends. But just can't say thanks enough, man. It was an awesome, awesome week in Hoover, especially when some of the games, it was kind of – the week got off to a little bit of a slow start. The fans are really what carried us through. I mean, they're what made – you guys are what made the event special, in my opinion. Like, we'll have our takes and our opinions, plenty of them, on the tournament format, the single elimination, all 16 teams getting in. We'll have our takes on that, the baseball itself. And there's been some great baseball played, this game included. But, man, it was awesome hanging out with the fans. I really, truly appreciate y'all. So, had a lot of fun. Anthony Ianson, that's a good breaking ball. Good 0-2 pitch. It's a good 0-2 pitch there. Drink Local Beham, you're good, brother. You're good. No need to apologize. It's all good. It's all good. I just would like to be surprised. I would like to feel like I'm being surprised. But if I see the comments start lighting up, I'm going to know what something big happened. Strikeout number 2. Anthony Ianson is talking his shit right now. And the Aggies 2025 season is down to this. That's not an overstatement. This is their season. A&M's season is coming down to this. This is A&M season right here. This is A&M season. Gavin Cash, he's had a good night tonight. Wow, good pitch. The breaking ball from Ianson. 1-1 count. It's Alex Box East at the Hoover Met. LSU fans, no fan base travels better in college baseball than LSU fans. They took over the place. Gavin Cash, he went. They called it and said he went. And A&M's 2025 season, a season that began being anointed as one of the great rosters we've seen recently in college baseball history, the unanimous number 1, the consensus national championship pick, nearly just ended on that pitch. Now 2-2. Now 2-2. Can Gavin Cash do the unthinkable? Can he keep their season alive? That was a 97-mile-an-hour fastball that went about 55 feet there. Think about what's riding on this at bat for A&M right now. Let's just think about this real quick. We are one strike away from a historic season coming to an end. Historic for all the wrong reasons. He can keep it alive, though. A&M could do the unthinkable. That's ball 4. Okay. That's ball 4. Gavin Cash. Another good at bat for Gavin Cash. Texas Rocks, what's going on? Appreciate you tuning in. Texas Rocks is cheering. Shocker for LSU. Our girl Joy over there is sweating bullets. Absolutely sweating bullets. Joy, I promise you they're more nervous than you are. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe they're not more nervous than you are. Nate Yeski, 2 outs, man on first. Nate Yeski visiting the mound. You think they make a change here? There's no way. Jay would come out if they were going to make a change, I think. I think Jay would be out. Yeah, just a mound meeting. Oh, all the intensity. All the intensity. Joyce says, I need a vodka freeze. I need a few days off from vodka freezes or alcohol in general. One day a day and a half at an LSU tailgate, you'll be like, I need a few days. I need a few days off. You know, I'm good. I think I'm good on that. So, anyways, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Friday Night Spikes, really fun stuff. Our guy Jake Mckeever is actually going to join us after this game is concluded. So, our guy McKeever sweating it out, as you would imagine. Here we go. 2 outs, man on first. That's a strike. LSU 1 out away from moving to the semifinals. More importantly, I think from the LSU perspective, they're 1 out away from ending A&M's 2025 season, which you know, we'll talk more about it obviously with Jake and you guys in the comments. It's not over yet. 0-2 count though. Anthony Ianson way ahead on Ben Royo, who has 9 career go-ahead homers in 2 this season. So he's no stranger. He's very familiar with this moment. Let's see what he does. Oh, that's low and away. Here we go. 1-2 pitch. Wow. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Oh, snappity snap. Royo comes up big with a single, first and third. 2 outs. The Aggies just will not say die. The Aggies will not say die. LSU might get this dub, but they want to give every LSU fan a heart attack before it happens. Every single one of them. Golly. Now you got Terrence Keel coming up. Holy smokes. All right, first and third, 2 outs. Can Ianson close this thing out? Swing and a miss, strike 1. I'd throw that pitch again. He looked bad. He looked really bad on that pitch. Can he do it? Let's see. Ianson, 0-1 count, first and third. A&M down by 1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. You got to break that off again. I mean, dude, he's looked bad twice. You got to break that off again. I think you just got to break that off again. Yeah, you just got to break this pitch off again. Ground ball. Milam flips. That's it. Ball game. Ball game. LSU advances to the semifinals and gets their revenge on Texas A&M. Second straight semifinal appearance. I'm trying to read the screen up here. Meanwhile, A&M, the 2025 season is, can we call it? It's over for the Aggies. It's over. The 2025 season is officially over for Texas A&M, and let the speculation begin. Let the speculation begin. We're going to spend a lot of the conversation talking about LSU and giving them their credit, and I think it's very well documented how high I am on this LSU team. But we could spend the entire offseason talking about Texas A&M and this year's team. It is fascinating to me. Like, watching this team in the SEC tournament with all that fight and all that grit, where was that when you needed it? Where was that against Missouri? Where was that early in the season? And now my question is this, and I want to pose the question to you all. Did Michael Early just coach his last game at Texas A&M? And I want to pose the question. Did Michael Early just coach his last game at Texas A&M? But LSU gets the big dub. I think our guy Jake Mckeever is going to jump on the show. I don't know. Our resident Aggie. We'll see if he jumps on. LSU hanging on for dear life. Give them credit. Give them credit. Cade Anderson was fantastic. It's kind of a weird setup, obviously, with he's not going as long as he normally does. And you throw Anthony Ianson in this game as well. LSU, by the way, is going to get Ole Miss in the 1:30 Central slot. Tennessee Vandy bumped up to 10 a.m. Central. So let's all wake up and have our coffee. LSU, again, give credit. Cade Anderson was fantastic. I would say this, and I don't know any LSU fan would disagree. You didn't swing it great. You had the, A&M, they gift you the run in the first inning when they dropped the pop. And by the way, had LSU people tell me that's not a pop fly. It's a pop fly, brother. It's a can of corn. That's a can of corn. He's literally camped under it. It's not a, deep shot. He's trying to make. I know where the ball was. It was on the warning track, but it was a pop up. It's okay to say that. It's not an insult. It just was what it was. But the guy drops the ball out there. That gives you a run. Listen. You'll take your revenge however you can get it. Who gives a damn? Who gives a damn, right? You win this game, you find a way. Who cares? It's a gritty, tough win. The offense might still concern you a little bit. That's like what we saw from LSU, that offense, their offense goes so cold. That is what concerns me about them going into the regional supers, obviously Omaha. So, again, I'm not hitting the panic button. It is the SEC tournament, but that is the thing that scares me about LSU is their offense just will at times go ice cold. Granted, they've got fantastic arms. They've got plenty of talent in the lineup, but they've also got great arms. You can win a game 4-3. And, I think, by the way, we can stop the conversation, at least LSU folks. I don't know if anybody outside of LSU folks is having it, but LSU is a top 8 national seed. We can stop this conversation, and LSU fans, I think, can stop worrying about the top 8 national seed conversation, whether they are or they're not. So, but yeah, I mean, it's the story of this 2025 Texas A&M baseball team will just be one that again, I'm not trying to pile on. Love the Aggies. This is probably the most disappointing college baseball team of all time. Like, when you think about the expectations, the talent, I know there were injuries. I totally get it. I understand. Even with all that, it's the biggest flop, I think, in college. It's one of the biggest flops in college baseball history. I think certainly in SEC baseball history. I mean, with all the accolades, yeah. So, anyways, let's get into your questions. We got a lot of trash talk going in the comments, as I would expect. Let's see. A lot of trash talk. Got some Texas fans saying extend early. Adele, he says, let's go Ole Miss. I'm in New York visiting. These rats are bigger than Master Splinter. Holy crap. Let's see. Texas rocks. Don't worry, Aggie. Tickets are still available for the Austin Regional. Gig'em Bart says that we are LSU Super Bowl. Y'all agree with that? Is A&M LSU Super Bowl? Interesting. Gig'em Bart says they've owned LSU all year. Congrats for evening it up in baseball. Nuss threw another pick while I was typing this. Spencer Scott, thank you, LSU. That joke of an A&M team and their crying-ass fans didn't belong anywhere near the NCAA tournament. Focus on your own program instead of trying to kill the head coach going out the door. Daily Joy Foster, we just secured a top 8 seed and sent y'all home in a body bag, Bart. Just go to the cemetery quietly. Y'all have a lot of experience doing that. The comments tonight are golden. Gig'em Bart will always have the Twitter crash out to look back on after we took the series. Good times. The Fire J tweets were electric. Gig'em Bart, we hit a man with one hand driving in runs. Daily Joy, the comments tonight are popping. My guy Eric Reese is fire Paul Maneri. Why not? Let's mix in some. Let's call for some other coaches' jobs where we're at it. Fire Paul Maneri. Paul Maneri catching a bullet tonight. All right, let's get our guy Jake Mckeever in here again. LSU winners advancing to the semis, 4-3 win over Texas A&M. Jake, what's up, man?
Thanks for having me, man. A little bit of a late night at the Met, and we're jumping on Friday Night Spikes to talk about it.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. This is cool. Good call by you to move it back. I think it was perfect timing. We caught the last 2 or so innings. Get to jump on here, decompress, discuss. We got over 1,000 people tuned in live right now, wanting to hear your thoughts, Mr. Mckeever, on. I feel like there's a lot to decompress from this, from the standpoint of, yes, there's the game, but also now from the A&M perspective, the coming to grips with the idea that the storybook or the story has been written on this 2025 Aggies team.
Yes. Before we jump into that on A&M, I mean, what a job by LSU. I mean, Ethan Frey has that big home run. He also had that sack fly where Jamal George just lost it in the sun. Milam had some impressive plays in the field. But what about just the huevos, if you will, from Jay Johnson to go to Anthony Ianson in the pen? Because I mean, it is one of those. It is kind of a gutsy call on his end. Kate Anderson does very Kate Anderson things, and ultimately LSU Ole Miss is going to be must-see TV.
Yeah, I like the matchup. This Ole Miss team, we talked about it, is they're very dangerous. I think they're a lot better than some people realize. I'm excited to see that one. Now, from the strategy perspective, which way each goes, I think Ole Miss, who is their 3-starter again? I always forget this kid's name.
Mason Nichols.
So they'll probably go Nichols tomorrow. At LSU, I mean, did he already throw?
No, he is not.
Okay, Nichols, okay.
But McClaskey and Morris for Ole Miss have.
Yeah.
The fans have really been clamoring for both of those to start on Sundays, just because Mason Nichols has been, I would say, average, if not a little bit below average. McClaskey threw today, obviously. Morris threw earlier in the weekend, so it is probably going to be Mason Nichols that gets the nod. But I think the storyline is going to be the Ole Miss offense. I mean, this is an absolute shootout. They come out and throw that haymaker in that first inning. I know that Zach Root probably should have been out of the inning due to the errors, but they really punished Arkansas with the errors, and that's something that really high quality teams do.
You mentioned go ahead.
But if you want to show my name at the bottom with the format, I have a little special treat for the Ole Miss fans, if you will.
Let me see.
If you want to display
you're making me work here, Jake.
I know. Wait, this is why we need Harrison to produce.
Well, now we got to, yeah. Hold on. I'm going to, real quick.
Yeah, there you go.
Luke Hill, enjoyer. Indeed. I enjoy watching Luke Hill also.
He's been awesome to see.
Yeah.
I think the thing, too, that really impresses me from Bianco's standpoint, I know that a lot of people are going to talk about his pitching conundrums that he's kind of worked himself in, but the way that he's been able to maximize Chang at short, Luke Hill at third, Uttermark at second, and still get Hayden Federico into the lineup, I think has done them wonders. I actually really like Hayden Federico out there in the outfield. I think that that's a really good spot for him because Luke Hill's obviously with his woes last year at shortstop. I think Chang fits in better. But that's been the thing that's been really impressive about me is just how much depth this lineup has.
Yeah, no, it is deep. And the pitching staff, too. I mean, the guys coming out of the bullpen, they've got a lot of quality arms. You get them in the middle of the game, they've got a lead. It's going to be really hard to beat Ole Miss. They just showed the collision on TV, by the way. Thankfully, hopefully, those guys are okay. That was a wild moment in that game, by the way. But, yeah, like you mentioned, they jump all over Zach Root early. The errors hurt. Of course, it's Vegas, right? So your boy took the over 9.5. Thinking to myself, we're golden. It's 5-1 after one inning, and it finishes at 7. So that's just how Vegas rocks.
Every game that we've seen, like A&M versus Mississippi State, monster early innings, and then A&M really didn't do anything after that. A&M Auburn the same way. Ole Miss in both of their wins same way. LSU even to some extent, where these teams get up in like the second or third inning, and you start feeling really good as an over ticket holder, and then they just like string 6 shutout innings together.
Yeah.
It's just been the wildest thing. But I think Mike has said that Hump's going to be okay. I don't think it'll be a long-term thing. I think it looked a lot better than it was. It did look very
What do we think for Ole Miss's hosting chances? They need to win tomorrow?
I
feel like they've done enough, personally. I mean,
here's the part, and I want to get this out of the way, that yes, Tennessee beat Ole Miss in a series on the road. But if you're putting Tennessee as a host, I think Ole Miss has an even bigger argument. They're now tied with Texas for the most wins in the Q1. It is, top 10 strength of schedule. The RPI is 15. I think Ole Miss has every argument to be a host, if not over Tennessee. And if Auburn's a lock to be, in that 12-8 range, Ole Miss should definitely be a host.
Yeah, I would agree. Should we bring Harrison in here? He texted me asking him. Real quick before we do, to your point about the decision to pitch Ianson, talked to Mikey Matuk earlier today on the show that we do every single Friday, Mic'd Up. He mentioned that was a strong possibility that Jay would do that. and I've seen a lot of debate from LSU folks, those that cover LSU, my good friend Blake Ruffino, those that are fans of LSU. Why did Jay do that? Did he do that because he wanted to get both work and he knew they had a top 8 locked up? Or did he do it because he felt like he needed to win tonight to lock up a top 8? From what Mikey said, I tend to believe this. I just think they wanted to win a game. I think that was the bottom line. They were selling out to win tonight. I think obviously beating A&M meant something to them, getting some revenge, opportunity to end their season. Did they probably already have a top 8 national seed locked up before without a win tonight? Yes, but I think putting the exclamation point on it was important for them.
And it removed all doubt. And Jay's not going to sit there on the bus. I don't know if I assume that they actually flew, but Jay's not going to sit there and overanalyze. Like, right. They obviously, me and you think that they had it locked up, but you never know when the committee starts working doubt in. Weird things happen. I think that the reason that they went with Ianson is similar to why Texas went with Volantis, is you don't want to sit there and throw somebody and the bullpen blows it. And, Cowan's probably going to pitch the
You don't want to leave Hoover and him not get work.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably going to pitch the Sunday game of a regional just strictly off of how Jay's pitched stuff in the past. So that's what, 15 days without Ianson pitching against batters. That's I think is the reason that they went with him. Figure out tomorrow. LSU locks up a top 8 seed. A&M they eliminate Texas A&M from the tournament and likely to the bubble. Because if you remember correctly, I mean, A&M took 2 of 3 from LSU, and that was a hotly contested series. Jay loves to play the spoiler, if you will. He was pretty pissed off because he lost Eric Carlson in the portal to UNC tonight, and he took it out on old Texas A&M.
Harrison's about to freak out in the behind the scenes, so we're going to bring Harrison in. Let's see how his service holds up, by the way. At the Hoover Met, he was complaining he didn't have good service.
God, dude, you guys take forever. I mean, I might as well just wait and talk to Chase Shores and talk to the other guys and Jay Johnson.
That's what you're there to do.
I thought I was.
That's literally what you're there to do.
I'll tell you what Chase Shores said to me. He just said my roping skills suck. That's the first thing he said to me.
Okay.
But no.
There you go.
Actually, Anthony Nines here. Hold on. Hey, way to throw, bud. How'd you feel coming out of the pen?
I feel great, man.
Yeah, not used to, huh?
Nah, but it's fire, bro. Fun.
Yeah, dude, he looked good, looked sharp. You kind of expecting that going in?
Yeah, I knew
it was an option, but
yeah, I knew that I had a chance to do that with Cade. Just kind of the game, I was gonna dictate it, but
yeah,
it was cool.
Yeah, glad you got to do it, bud.
Thank you.
By the pitch.
So instead of getting that on video, he got that on the live there.
I wouldn't get a video on doing that. I don't know him like that. If it was Chase Shores, I would have done it. But no, I mean, I didn't want to throw a phone in his face like that walking up. Sorry, but no. Talking to Jay Johnson from the dugout after, he said the biggest thing. He goes, "This was an option going into it." So I would hate it that you guys took forever to bring me in because I had the answer for it. But we want to get both guys work. They were on pitch counts, so that was kind of part of it. And obviously, he goes, "This is a huge recruiting deal as well." He goes, outside of Omaha is already the biggest game of the year. That's most watches, the games late in Hoover. And, so I think that's part of it, he said, too. And, it gives them the flexibility for next week, Friday, for what they want to do. And he goes, it was accumulation of those things and keeps our options open. And, he was comfortable doing it. So they went with it, and it was an opportunistic time to do so. So they felt it was the right move, and they did it. And obviously it was because Anthony Ianson looked great out there and, did his thing and kept a really good pitch count. And I think LSU's staff racked up 16 strikeouts, I believe. If not, I think it was 14 or 16. I mean, they ran out of Ks to put up. They just started, putting one up for 10 and then a couple others after that. But, no, it was cool to hear Jay Johnson talk to me about that in front of the dugout. And then, talking with Chase Shores, telling him he said my roping skills suck. But, no, Anthony was, I wasn't going to throw the phone up in front of him like that. That's, unprepared.
Chase Shores is probably the expert when it comes to roping, by the way, being from Midland.
Does Jake even know why
Texas,
you're bringing Does Jake even know why you're bringing that up?
No, that's the better part.
Yeah,
but I like Jake's background today.
Harrison was roping today at the Dat Bingle Bus tailgate, and we got it on video. So that's context you needed because I feel like Jake's like, what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, honestly.
Yeah. Also, I didn't know how to turn the camera around.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
It's not like
no for Ianson, but no. He said he felt comfortable. I don't know if you could hear, but he said he felt comfortable. He knew it was an option going in. obviously his stuff was on, but he felt comfortable doing it. I think it's the first time he's relieved all year, if not in the past 2 years, maybe, Jake.
I mean, I don't know what he did last year. I'm gonna be honest with you. He was at a Big West school. I assume that. I think he did come out of the pen a lot as a freshman.
I don't know, but he pitched really well, and obviously he said he felt really comfortable. And I think it was weird move. Like the scouts were kind of worried. They're like, why? One of the scouts goes, I told him, he goes, really? I haven't seen LSU all year. I said, yeah, this is their game 2 starter. So, no,
Well,
a cool.
When they get into Omaha, into more like remember when the Nationals in 2019 did it with their rotation where they kept bringing starters out of the pen? Because for LSU, you trust Kason Evans, Zach, and obviously Kate Anderson and Anthony. But outside of that, it really is kind of like a hope and a prayer. So I wonder if that's something that LSU will bring it in to get 30
Well,
pitches.
see, I know. I told Jay. I said, I was talking to Max Wiener about it too, like with Texas the other day, and just kind of how they were approaching things. I said, obviously, you guys don't come here to lose, but you want to come get guys working. He goes, exactly, And I think that's the situation with Lantis. It was an opportunistic time to bring him in that kind of a ball game. But furthermore, I think like when I talked to Max Wiener about it, he goes, he really was really high. Chris, you were there about how much they liked the stuff in the arsenal and the arm slot and release height from Ethan Walker, who pitched and started the game for Texas. But it gives those guys that maybe aren't their Dylan Valancis, Max Grubbs guys or high leverage guys opportunities to pitch on a big stage, and because they're going to need them down the stretch, whether it's deep in a regional or deep in a super, and it gets some experience that's basically a super regional atmosphere here in Hoover, and both of you know that very well. I think that's why I was like maybe if it's a tight game, maybe you bring in one of your more high leverage arms, but I thought I liked the way Texas approached that, because now they know what they can get out of Ethan Walker. I mean, LSU, you don't use any bullpen, I guess. So that's great. You just use 2 starters. But I think Chase Shores goes to start the next game for LSU, which would be in 2 days or tomorrow. Tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah. So
They got a
I
quick
believe that,
turnaround.
and that's just the word I'm hearing from LSU, and maybe championship. You go Case and Evans. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, the biggest thing Jay Johnson said was, gives them the flexibility next week in regional with what they want to decide to go with. I think order-wise in rotation, but kept them both at pitch counts and also getting them working. I think that's important too.
Jake, you wanted to say something?
I was going to say, they still have Cowan and Evans. I think one of those two will probably get the start tomorrow. I can see them chasing that twos together. Chase Shores, I think I wouldn't say that they like Chase Shores out of the bullpen, but that feels like where he's kind of cemented himself.
He can do both, but yeah, that's true. But I mean, Anthony Einson's not a bullpen guy, so
I think that's a little bit different.
Yeah, well, hey, I was hanging out with some Midland, Texas people today. Don't worry.
Harrison, you're there. What'd you see from the Aggie dugout? I think they know it's over, right?
I'll be honest, it felt as close to right after the final out of the Game 3 of the College World Series last year. I was sitting there like, man, dude, like, it made me think about my final game playing. Like, that was just a sense, and you could feel that, and you could see it, obviously. Jace Lavalette walking around the dugout, hugging some of the guys, and I think it's unless it's a miracle on Selection Monday that their season's over, and you got to give kudos to Chase Lavalette playing this game, even though he probably shouldn't, just with the draft and everything. But to rope an RBI single, and I mean rope one, to play in this game and to hit basically one-handed against Kate Anderson.
How about the sack fly hit that was 104 off the bat?
Yeah, I mean,
that
I was just
crazy.
Beyond grit, guts, just like. I mean, the quote was, he said, "I'd run through a brick wall for this team." So I think you could feel that emotion. Just a lot of guys on the rail, just heads down, just like, man, like this is it, And so, I mean, the Moneyball quote goes, at some point we're all told we can no longer play the children's game. Some of us are told at 18, some of us are told at 40, but we're all told.
Wow, Harrison just got
profound.
Really deep.
An earnest Hemingway of his day.
To kind of brighten the mood, Chris, on the other side, I mean, I put the tweet out. Some people call this Hoover, Alabama. Some people call this the SEC baseball tournament. Some people call this the LSU Invitational. Some people call this Baton Rouge East. It felt like Baton Rouge East. That's
I have a question.
Sure. It felt like a home game.
Did they really put tortellini in the crawfish boil? Because that feels sacrilegious.
I didn't see tortellini, but that sounds good.
Get
Well,
out.
it's
I'll tell you what.
apparently
I
it's
might need it.
sacrilegious.
Chris, I almost needed a nap earlier.
There's the
Oh,
door.
dude, when I was driving home, I was like yawning. I was like, "Oh my gosh, dude!"
I'm debating on
I haven't
driving home
eaten
now.
since. I haven't eaten since.
I
was
know. I
so
got a to-go
stuffed from
plate.
lunch.
I got a to-go plate. I'm debating on driving home right now. I got to figure that out, or sleeping on the bus.
Nice.
The
We'll
buzz.
see. We'll
They have a
see.
spot for you.
I'm
This
gonna
situation is why I left. Right here.
Well, I
Um,
mean, it was a good game. I don't want to miss it, but I'm
No,
going to hop out. I'm
yeah.
going to go to pressers. So I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, appreciate you, Harrison. Good shit. You're the man. Later. Good stuff. Appreciate Harrison doing that. That was awesome. That was
Big
awesome.
shout out to Anthony Ianson.
Yeah, big shout out to Anthony. Yeah, big shout out to Anthony Ianson for chopping it up, giving us some insight there. I know we were kind of both Jake and I looking at each other like, what the fuck is going on? But that was cool. That was cool. I'll give him credit. Jake, Harrison and I will have this conversation at definitely on Monday when the field comes out. I want to move it to A&M. You're our resident A&M guy, our resident Aggie. You've got you got a better perspective on the program than any of us. Walk me through. So now that they're
out.
They're out. They're done. Their season's over.
They were.
Walk me through your range of emotions and thought process and how you're processing what this 2025 season was.
Yeah, I mean, they were on the second cut line last night, and that didn't include bid stealers like Tulane playing in the championship, whatever's happening in the Big West tournament. They are, without a doubt, 100% out. I would almost go as far as to say if they're let in, it's a true injustice of the sport that an SEC team with 11 wins and losses to Missouri get in. I will say this. I mean, you and I have talked about it at length this entire season, that it really wasn't Michael Early's fault. It's more the players, this, and this. But at the end of the day, if you're paying a roster this much money and you get this kind of return on ROI, like, they would be fired. In every business. If your CEO loses $5 million or whatever the equivalent is, you would fire them. And that really has to be what it comes down to, unfortunately.
Did Michael Early coach his last game at Texas A&M?
I would be very shocked if he is the coach in July. I'll say this. There's two things. There's two important details of last summer. When Jim Sosnickle left, a lot of the really talented portal players had already found their new homes. Zach Root, for example, was already at Arkansas. Blake Sear was already at Florida. Texas A&M had ample opportunity to enter the portal after the portal window had closed to enter. So no coach in their right mind would have taken that job with the windfall, the expectations. There's no guarantee that those players stay. I think that Michael Early at the time was the right hire. But at the end of the day, A&M had the most expensive roster in terms of NIL with public universities. Obviously, we really don't know what Vandy's NIL is. And Michael Early's the 14th highest paid coach in the SEC. And I think that really kind of speaks volumes to his buyout. He had a lot of incentive-based stuff. It's not that much money to buy him out in the grand scheme of college athletics. $1.5 million. Like, I know
it's a lot less than Paul Maneri is going to get.
Yeah,
or
I
would
know
get.
Have cars that are worth more than Michael Early's buyout, like legitimately. Yeah, it's not Paul Maneri. Which, by the way, did you see that hit piece that someone at? I think it was one of the affiliate sites that take themselves a little bit too seriously about how Paul Maneri hates track. Like, he destroyed the track man. There was no development. I'll have to send you the link, but it was a really good article.
No, I didn't see that.
About how
was it a hit piece or legitimate?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Right.
A lot of the burnerverse has kind of run with it, and that's why they're like,
of
I don't know all this.
Of course. Well, Paul Maneri's got the burners against him. He's fighting a hell of a battle.
I feel bad for the guy, by the way, because he says everything right. Where he's like, he goes, we didn't get a lot of fan support, but I wouldn't watch this team. Like,
He's like, I don't get it. All right, Paul, go lay down.
My favorite quote was at the beginning of the year. It was for the student newspaper or something. He was like, yeah, he goes, I just hope y'all stick with us. The season's probably not up to the standard that y'all are used to, but I hope that y'all still come out.
With that soft pitch voice.
But in terms of A&M, this team can look itself in the mirror and know that they pissed away opportunities numerous times. I mean, the Kentucky series on that Saturday when they were up, 5-0, if you will. The Alabama series where they're tied in the 9th in both games and they piss them away at home and get swept. Not stealing one on Vandy on the road when you're really down in the dumps.
I mean, dude, if they just don't get swept, they make the postseason. Don't get swept.
Still won.
You said what?
If they even steal one, because 12.
That's what I'm saying. Just steal one in all those series. You would have been in.
Or even be competitive. That's the most mind-boggling part of the whole thing. Is on Saturday and Sunday, they were extremely dead.
Mm-hmm.
But do you want to talk about the game a little bit about just kind of the exercise?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, LSU kind of threw early. The Jamal George pop fly. Did you think he lost it in the sun, or do you think that was just bad?
I thought he had to lose it in the sun, right? I mean,
I felt like he was very good to read. He didn't know where his body was.
Well, he didn't get a good read.
Yeah.
And the fact that he jumped was very strange.
Yeah.
I thought the sun played a factor, but what do I know?
Yeah.
I thought it did. Dude, Cade Anderson was the story of the first 4 innings. What he had, or first 3 innings, eight of his first 9 outs were strikeouts.
They showed a stat where at the end of the game, obviously, and most of this was due to Cade Anderson, but that the 4 through 9 hitters had 15 or 14 Ks between them. It was, and a lot of them weren't even competitive at bats. Was I think the craziest part was he wasn't the Terrence Keel at bat at the end of the game and then in science. You go up there, get a cup of coffee, and you blink and it's 0-2, and that's really how Cade Anderson does. And Jay's talked about it throughout the year about how, he would trust Cade Anderson, probably second only to his wife. Jay's had some great quotes, by the way, this year. But A&M was able to chip away at a good chunk. You could tell that they weren't having the highest of quality at bats, but they were chipping away. They were getting runs in. They were moving guys around. And when it was sitting at 4-3 when they had Anthony Ianson come in, you felt really good about your team's chances to go and scratch one in the final 9 outs. Obviously, you get a guy to third base and no outs, and you don't get him home, you're going to lose that game every single time. That was really their best shot. Did you think the bunt was called, or do you think he was bunting for a hit?
Remind me which I know which one you're talking about. I'm just drawing a blank.
The Keel bunt in the 7th, because I felt like he was bunting for a hit.
I thought he was bunting for a hit. Yeah. What did you think about the runner's interference thing?
It was runner's interference.
I thought it was funny on the next one, and I think that was Keel. Terrence.
Yeah, that was the bunt. Yeah, I mean,
that was the bunt where it kind of happened again, and Bear catches it, and Keel runs past. He's looking at him, and he literally is bro, move over.
Yeah,
I mean,
they have a second bag. That's the part I didn't.
Dude, you have the green bag, bro. The lane you're supposed to run in.
And furthermore, he would have been out. If he doesn't interfere. They showed the replay. He was out by a step. So it's not he was oh, I was going to be safe anyway. He was clearly out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean it's that game though. LSU's offense scares me a little bit from the standpoint listen, they had to get some help tonight. I mean,
yeah,
that you had to have a drop, pop, fly, and right, and I mean, they scratched and did just enough. But, and I'm not worried about them, obviously, from a standpoint, but it just kind of but it goes back to A&M for me, Jake, where it's I still cannot fathom
they look good.
You have so much fight and resiliency and determination. You're playing everything's on the line. It's why didn't you do that the rest of the year? Where was this? I mean, You know, that's what blew my mind.
Yeah, that was the part that was just like, you can, like, I'm sure that there was a lot of stuff on Twitter about like, oh, this felt like a super regional, this. And then you kind of take a step back and you're like, wait, they have 11 wins. Like, I remember when, I think it was 22, when Kentucky and Bama both got into the single elimination as 12-win teams that were on the bubble. And the mindset around those teams was, wow, like, Kentucky and Bama are surprising people. Like, if A&M would have won tonight, I don't think anybody would have been surprised by it. Like, let's say hypothetically Keel pokes one through and Mario scores from first. Like, LSU probably been like, yeah, you tip your cap. That's a good team. Da 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 da. But at the end of the day, like, you're sitting there, and this is an SEC team with 11 wins.
Yeah.
Now, an SEC team with 11 wins has never made it. An SEC team with 12 wins has never made it in a non-cancellation year. It's such a strange team because, like you said, there's sometimes where they fight. Even the Texas series, to some extent, they showed a ton of fight. And then they get swept by Missouri and they lose to Kentucky. Like, it was just a weird team.
It was, man. And again, give all the credit to LSU. This is a team I'm really high on, Jake. Obviously a top 8 national seed, all but I would say it's locked up now. You got to feel good about their chances. I mean,
here's your question, by the way, and this is a strictly performative, if not out of left field question, because this is such a nightmare scenario, but we've seen it with Arkansas, we've seen it with Vandy. Do you trust this LSU offense to come back from 5 runs in 6 innings or later? Because, like, you trust Georgia, you trust Tennessee, you trust
you at least you say trust them. You at least think they can do it. It's a possibility. Yeah, I mean, LSU. We've seen it at times. We've seen it in spurts, but it's certainly not the norm for LSU. I don't. That's not how they want to win. That's not how they normally win. So, yeah, I mean, the offense is what's the concern with them going into they are LSU's going to pitch. Cade Anderson, Anthony Ianson. Do you have some, questions in the bullpen? Can things sometimes get sideways? That's everybody in college baseball, though. So, with Kason Evans, Zach Cowan, Chase Shores, like, I think you've got plenty of arms. It's just, what kind of production are you going to get from the lineup? Obviously, Ethan Fry is red hot right now. He's swinging a really hot stick going back to the end of the season. But
Mike struggled at times this year. Bear, Braswell, Stanfield.
But I guess the bottom line is this: they've still found ways to win games when it mattered. So
they're not a lucky team either. It's not like Texas.
No. This is a very good team. It's a very, very good team.
And I should say that Texas is lucky in an analytical sense, not in a actual sense. Like, just from an analytical sense there, I think they have 5 wins above what analytics predicts it to. That's not what LSU is in terms of staying on beat with the pitching staff, by the way. I don't foresee Anthony Ianson or Cade Anderson giving up 5 runs in a start, by the way. So this is probably a problem that LSU doesn't have to encounter. But I think that is kind of something to track, where if LSU were to lose a regional, it'd be because they lost a game and they don't have the hitting to roll through a loser's bracket.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's possible to have a guy, one of your starters have an off night. And, I mean, yeah, you're right. If LSU's offense has to pick them up, can they realistically get that? You know what I mean? Will the offense be there to pick them up? That could be a big question. I want to address this comment because I did post the question on social media about the one I asked you to Michael Early, coach's last game. Our friend, Josh Jumper comments, your post about did Early coach's last game at Texas A&M is pathetic. No, what's pathetic is Texas A&M's 2025 season. In my opinion, Michael Early should be fired. So you can make all the excuses you want about injuries and this, that, whatever. I don't really give a damn. Missing the postseason with this roster, who you had available, it's inexcusable. I do not care. Take your excuses elsewhere. And if they bring him back, it is what it is. Like, Jake, I tend to think they will bring him back because I don't know that college baseball's at a place. And by the way, I don't know if you can hear this, total side note. I now have learned tonight that I can see the fireworks from the Nashville Sounds minor league baseball stadium from my apartment. So that's pretty cool.
You're going to hate that in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, when they're playing home games I hope only Friday night's fireworks night.
But I'll say this.
I don't know. Oh, that's what I was just going to say before you go. I don't know that we're at a place in college baseball where you're firing a coach after a year. I don't know if we're there yet. I mean, maybe we are. Maybe.
I mean, it's a situation, I should say. But
yeah,
if A&M is wanting to compete at the level that LSU is, and they're spending the money to compete at it, would LSU fire their coach if they had a season like this? Would Texas fire their coach if they had a season like this? Would Florida? Mm-hmm. And if you were spending the same amount of money that they are, you should be held to the same expectations. And I get that A&M hasn't won anything to warrant said expectations, but they are spending money at a rate that warrants you to have these high expectations. Mm-hmm. And LSU, I mean, Texas fired their coach for missing a super regional. LSU sent Maneri to pasture because they weren't even like elite of the elite. That's the thing that I always struggle with it. Yes, Michael Early I think is a fantastic hitting coach. I don't think it's completely on Michael Early. I would go as to argue it's more on the players than Michael Early. But at the end of the day, when a company goes under, they're going to point at the CEO and say you're the reason that the company went under.
Yeah, it's not like I mean, dude, I met Michael Early in Hoover this week. I have nothing against the guy. It's just somebody has to be held accountable at the end of the day. Yeah, it just is what it is. I'll ask you this, Jake. Does Jace Lavalette consider coming back?
No.
His draft stock tanked, bro. It tanked this season.
It's still top. Well, it's still top.
Is he a first rounder?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's been chatter. There's chatter out there. That's all I'm saying. I don't think he comes back either, but
I'm trying to think. Prager has another year. I don't think he's coming back. He already came back once. Royo has more eligibility. I think he'll be back. Schott is done. Bergevin's done. Bender up. Can get drafted. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me to see somebody take a late round flyer on somebody like him, just because he had that insane 2-week stretch and then didn't play again. Cash is done. They're going to get back Caden Sorrell. They're going to get back Shane Sadejo, who was injured. So, I mean, there is a lot of pieces. They're going to be in the mix for a ton of these portal guys like they always are. So it's a bleak future. But I will say this. That kind of leaves me a little bit of hope. Obviously, we don't see Michael Early in the fall. But the Michael Early that was coaching when I saw them in the SEC against Kentucky versus the one that was coaching in Houston was worlds different. And it stands to reason that they are going to have this quote-unquote new Michael Early in fall that I think could push the guys. But I don't see – I mean, they fired the last coach who had been a mainstay in Omaha for 15 years, and he misses the tournament. They immediately fire him. That seems to be the only standard at A&M is that they fire somebody if you miss the tournament.
It's going to be really interesting for sure. It's going to be very, very interesting. What the bottom line is this: LSU gets their revenge, beats Texas A&M, ends their season. Tigers all but lock up a top 8 national seed, lock up a spot in the semifinals where they'll take on the Ole Miss Rebels, who beat Arkansas earlier in the day. And, buddy, Arkansas fans were reeling on the timeline, by the way. They were quite upset.
Tornadoes. They can have this. We'll let the Arkansas fans kind of have this one.
Jake, thoughts from because you and I, it's the first time we've spoken outside of like our group text all week. Thoughts on the rest of the week from Hoover. Thoughts on because again, Harrison and I will talk about this on Monday, but we won't hear from you again until next weekend, Friday Night Spikes, assuming you're available. So obviously this will be kind of an afterthought. We'll be into regional baseball. I'm curious your thoughts on the format.
I don't hate it, but I think it can be tweaked a little bit scheduling-wise. I don't like how they're speeding everything up down the stretch here, and they give some teams a day off versus others. I think that the format is as good as it's going to get because at the end of the day, Texas didn't have anything to play for. I would even argue the top 10 teams didn't really have anything to play for. So it's such a niche thing. I'm so glad that they're not doing what the Big Ten's doing, where they have these pods and they have just utterly.
God, that's the worst.
Like there was one, and their tiebreaker is highest seed. So Iowa won one game, and they were playing Rutgers, who had already lost or something. So it literally meant nothing. They trotted out Rutgers, be like, all right, your season's over. Play this exhibition. Format-wise, I like it. It really does allow you to get some kind of quiet work in. I don't like the 16 teams. That's the only thing that I would kind of tweak. But as far as the tournament goes, I really like what Vandy's been able to do. Thompson spun a gym. They're going to get Cody Bowker going today. I don't know who Tennessee throws. And then
it's a very similar situation for the game 3 in Knoxville. I mean, it's
figure it out. And then
how about a 10 a.m. start? By the way, hey, by the way, your boy's fully ingrained Central Time now. Eastern Time brain gone, fully Central Time. 10 a.m. start for that.
SEC.
Little coffee and baseball. Love that.
Tony V's a morning guy, by the way?
I feel like all coaches are morning guys.
I don't think he is. I don't think he's in the morning.
Think so?
I don't think he is.
Think he's gonna look tired in the dugout?
Or he's gonna he's gonna be wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, you can't see how tired he actually is. He's like, you catch him yawning in the dugout.
But I know Jay doesn't really sleep that much. Michael Early doesn't really sleep that much. DVH strikes me as a guy who wakes up at 5 a.m.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm trying to think who else. I feel like Sully lifts weights at 5 a.m. I mean, you almost have to be that jacked.
I can confirm that Sully's in the sauna at like 7 a.m. So, yeah, he's dude. He has to like take his kids to school and shit. So he's up early. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forget he's. Yeah, the dad time schedule is a little bit different.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's been a fun week. It was a fun week in Hoover. Obviously, I'm back in Nashville now, but it was a fun week in Hoover, Jake. It was.
Chris,
it was very. Yeah.
Who was your favorite SID you got to interact with, since you got to have all of them there?
I mean, funny enough, Jake, the only SID I interacted with was Sullivan, who is Florida's SID. Dude, this is no like shade to him. I don't normally interact with the SIDs.
Yeah.
Harrison does that. That's what he did. Harrison did more of that, but like, dude, like when we interacted with Michael Early or we talked I got to meet Schloss first time ever. That was really, really cool. I was kind of curious how it was going to go because, I was like mini critical when he left and what have you. I said some things, didn't really clip anything and put it up, but I said some things on some shows about my thoughts on the move. But no, he was super cool, man. Hey, good to meet you. Love what you do. Love y'all's work, everything. We talked to him a little bit about the team, their season, the tournament. Talked to Kane, talked to Max Wiener. Really fun. But yeah, no, I didn't really interact with the SIDs all that much at all.
They're the one seed, right? Like that's completely locked in. And
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, by the way, that was a great game. Tennessee, Texas was an awesome game.
I know we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but that was the perfect scenario for Texas. Like they chase Doyle, so they get some confidence at the plate.
Yeah.
Sloss keeps them hungry by a loss. Hey, you're not as good as you think you are. You haven't won anything. Y'all played an easy side of the SEC, all this, rah-rah stuff. And you throw Volantis, and they got a great start. I forget the kid's name. He's probably going to be their day one starter against that 4 seed. That was a dream scenario outside of winning it. That they probably, they'll never say that that's the dream scenario, but it really was.
Well, I mean, Schloss kind of painted the picture, right, in regards to, where he essentially said, we're going to do what we can to win the game, but we know we're playing for more. We're not going to do anything that's So he essentially said, like you said, we want to get our work in. We'd like to win. If we don't, no big deal. So I think it probably did work out exactly as – I'm sure they would have liked to win, but I don't think they're complaining, getting some time off, getting off their feet, getting some guys healthy. Yeah, so
they get to enjoy Labor Day weekend in Austin.
Yeah. Down at what's the Springs called again? What is it?
I would imagine that Sloss probably has them on a boat on Lake Austin. They're probably not hanging out with the plebes at Barton Springs.
Oh, Barton Springs. Yes, Barton Springs. Jake, I do want to ask you this before we get out of here. What you're paying most attention to this weekend from a postseason implication standpoint? Can be SEC or non-SEC.
Obviously the debate between Ole Miss and Tennessee. Ideally, if the committee wants it to be the easiest possible, those two playing the championship and the winners, the seed, and the losers not. But from a bubble standpoint, UTSA has to beat Tulane twice. That's the ultimate bubble stealer. Fullerton, I haven't had a chance to check on that, but they were kind of in the driver's seat. They are another bid stealer. DBU obviously needs to win. And then from a bubble standpoint, Miami feels like they're out. Virginia feels like they're out. Southern Cal feels like they're out.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Virginia. I was listening to, believe it or not, I was kind of venturing through, listening to the some of the Just Means Less guys, old Monty and the boys. They were out there at Durham. They said that, and maybe some bias, but they said they felt like Virginia had done enough to be in. So I thought that was interesting.
There are PIs near A&M's. I know that they have a little bit more ACC wins than A&M has, obviously, and that's been the argument that Oaks made is if you get to, like, I mean, I know it didn't play out. I don't know how many wins they ended up with, but they had a chance to win the ACC outright in the last, weekend. And obviously they didn't. But if you can be playing for the ACC and then miss the tournament because of one weekend, but the RPI is in, the 60s. Miami feels like they're out. I mean, there's just so many teams that lose, that had a chance to kind of add to their resumes and they lost. A&M, granted, A&M was well off the bubble, but they were the only team that really added to their resume during these conference tournaments. And again, it's not like it's been murderer's row. The Big 12's played out exactly how we thought it was. There's no bid stealers there. The Big East, I feel like so it's Xavier, Creighton, and UConn for 2 spots. So that's how I see it. I don't think all 3 of them get in, but they're all 3 right on the bubble with each other. Who else? Oh,
by the way, you mentioned UC Irvine. They beat Cal Poly 15-3 and 7.
That's interesting because Cal Poly was in the tournament as one of the last teams in. You don't know what's funny? Is if A&M probably wins this game tonight, because of how the bubbles played out, they probably would have been in. Because everybody that's above them lost, and they would have added another top 10 RPI game to there. But coulda, woulda, shoulda. I'm sure the RPI would be great if they had swept Missouri like every other team in the SEC. So,
yeah, should have never came down to that. I will be. I am fascinated to your point, Jake, about, and we'll get more answers obviously on Sunday night when the host spots come out. But yeah, I mean, the battle between, I think, Ole Miss and Tennessee for that last SEC regional host spot. I mean, I don't think you think Georgia's a top 8, right? Or no?
Yeah, their RPIs when they lost, it was 1, and it got bumped down to 3. This feels weird to say, but I feel like the committee is going to send Ole Miss to Southern Miss because that checks a box for Southern Miss, and they'll say, you dipshits who put chandeliers in tents, go take over that regional. I don't think they're dipshits, by the way. That's what the committee thinks.
Right. Yeah, I like I said, it's still, and I know Tennessee beat Ole Miss, but it does still feel kind of weird to me that Tennessee's potentially going to host and Ole Miss is not. That feels
win in 6 weeks too. That's the other funny thing.
Right. It feels strange. What do you? I know I'm asking a lot of questions of you, Jake. What do you think about the people? I've seen a lot of arguments on social media that we should not weigh these wins in these conference tournaments the same as a normal conference win. You know what I mean?
Yes. So obviously the big one is Texas throwing a mid-major while Tennessee throws Liam Doyle. That one obviously probably shouldn't be weighed as heavy, but the Big 12 tournament, every single one of those games has either been a bubble team looking to add to their resume, a team that's squarely out that wants to keep playing, or somebody who's in that kind of 20 range, like a Kansas, TCU. And those games have been really competitive. So the SEC's got to find the right balance. And I don't know if it's playing exhibition games, and then they get to handpick who they think could add the most to their resume. But I think ultimately, Rooney made a good argument. I think we need more teams in the NCAA tournament. I think that's what would.
Do you think we need to expand the tournament? Why?
You're telling me. Well, first off, we get more baseball. Second off, I would love to see some of these.
When would it be played?
That'd be the thing that they
Are
would.
they going to add a weekend?
Would you want? Well, here's the other thing that I have is why does the Summit League, who has 5 teams, get on of it? And it's the same as if, the Southland where it's a gauntlet. So I would love a 4 or 5 matchup on a Wednesday or Thursday, and then that team wins and it's regional as normal. So Texas A&M gets to go play Wright State, and if they win that, they go in and make it into a regional. Like, I would absolutely love to have just a single game playoff.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we've got plenty. I don't want to be the fun police, but I feel like we've got plenty. Like, there's 64 teams in it.
But here's the craziest thing, Chris, is since there's over 300 teams, it's one of statistically the hardest sports to make outside of men's basketball. Men's basketball and college baseball are the 2 hardest playoff sports. We see the highest droughts in college baseball. Like, for reference, Georgetown's been playing college baseball since the 1800s. They've never made a tournament. So there is some precedent with just long droughts. And I think it starts by giving some of these mid-majors, like Southeastern's a good team and should be warranted in a postseason, but they're not going to get in an argument over a Kentucky, over a Virginia or Miami just because of the human aspect of it. I think that's the biggest thing is you reward some of these smaller teams, let them play a little bit longer together because, again, weird stuff happens in conference tournaments.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, I mean, just look back at last year at the College of Charleston thing. Like, I get it. I get what you're saying. So I will say this, though. I don't think we get expansion. I don't think there's any real uproar to, like, we need to expand. Maybe I'm wrong, but
no, there isn't. But
yeah. So I don't know.
Well, we'll let 11.7 champion that.
Jake, good stuff, man. Let's go ahead and put a pin in it. It's been a long week. I'm excited to sleep in my own bed. Had a blast again at Hoover. If you've never done it, you should. It was awesome. And I mentioned this, Jake, top of the show, saying that because you've been, right? You've been to the SEC tournament.
Never been.
You never been. Okay, but you've been to a conference tournament. You've been to a tournament in general, right? Like, it's it's awesome talking to players and coaches, and that really is awesome. I mean, even for me, guys, like when I went on the field in Hoover, my adrenaline still pumps when I do stuff like that because I don't take for granted the opportunities and what we get to do, just like how cool it is what we're doing. But it really is the people that make these events so awesome. And it's the fan bases and, linking up with people that, are fans of the show, or even if they never heard of us or whatever, or maybe they're familiar in some way or form or fashion. Like, for example, Jake, like we're walking around the RV lot yesterday, just kind of minding our own business. We had a Mississippi State fan holler at us, and that was awesome and what have you. Then we stumble upon this LSU tailgate, that bingo bus. We meet all these guys. They're great. They're awesome. They had heard of us before, and we were just talking. I'm like, hey, I do this live show on Fridays with Mikey Matuk. My plan originally was to leave in the morning, get back here, do it from here. They're like, dude, do the show from the bus. Do it from that bingo bus. We did the show today from the bus. We had jambalaya. We had boudin sausage. We had the best baked beans I've ever had in my entire life. We had ribs. We had the frozen vodka drinks. I mean, they just absolutely took care of us. It's the people are really what make it so special. And without you guys, obviously, we wouldn't be where we are, where we're going, and what we're doing is you guys make it a lot of fun. So,
Chris, I do want to make a little bit of an announcement. Barring something crazy, I likely will be in LSU for that regional. So if you're an LSU fan,
let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, how about that? Let's go. Atta baby. Yeah, I want you to travel, Harrison to travel. Dave's probably going to go wherever Bama goes. So SEC Unfiltered are going to have some boots on the ground out there. all over. Your boy will be right here in HQ, locked in every single regional. We'll announce all this next week, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Friday night spikes like you've never seen it before, folks. With
on Saturday.
Hey, we might do multiple night spikes. That might be necessary. So just stay tuned. It's going to be a lot of fun. It really is going to be content bleeding out of the eyeball starting Monday.
If I am on the field post game and I'm live, I will show the player's face.
Good on you. Good man. Again, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Really good stuff. Jake, you're the man. Before we get out of here, do want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel, because as always, we're brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Guys, the wait is over. Baseball season's finally here, and you can start the season strong on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, FanDuel is celebrating the return of baseball by giving new customers $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel's got so many ways for you to get on the action, from hits to steals to home runs. They got a lineup filled with all your favorite bets, or if pitching is more of your thing, FanDuel has a deep bullpen of bets from strikeouts to shutouts innings. So when you place your first bet, it can be on almost anything. And if it hits, you'll get $250 in bonus bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today. That's FanDuel.com/SECU. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official partners of Major League Baseball. Must be 21 and up and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and up and present in D.C. First online, real money wager only, $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Jake, once again, thank you so much, my friend, for taking the time. It's always a pleasure. You're the man. Obviously, we'll stay in touch. We'll be rocking and rolling with the content. Jake Mckeever, guys, you already know him. You already know the drill. Again, thank you all so much. Make sure, as always, you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And make sure you follow Jake Mckeever. Make sure you follow myself. Make sure you follow Harrison Fant, and stay tuned to all of the coverage this weekend. Guys, have a great rest of your Friday night. We're out of here till the next Friday Night Spikes. Stay tuned for all the content tomorrow throughout the weekend. And, of course, Selection Monday just around the corner. Till then, enjoy the weekend in Hoover. We'll talk soon.